Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Hi, my name is J Emanuel. I am a photographer here in northern Minnesota in Bemidji. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, my parents bought me a digital camera for Christmas, and that's kind of what got me going into photography. I'd always had an interest in it, but never really explored it, and once I actually got a camera in my hands, it was just a matter of getting outside and taking pictures of nature and wildlife. And when I plan to do a photo shoot or just to go out and take photos, in all honesty, it stems from just wanting to get outside and do something. You know, if I'm planning to go to the North Shore, you know, I'll take a day or two and take my stuff up there and go hiking, once again, or snowshoeing or kayaking. It's just kind of weekend stuff for me, and sometimes during the week, and whenever the mood hits me, I guess. I'm a landscape photographer. I don't do much portrait work. I have, but not much. My favorite things to photograph are probably waterfalls. I really enjoy doing waterfall stuff. That's, you know, up on the North Shore. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. This is Gooseberry Falls from last spring. I took this when the falls opened up after all the ice and snow had melted. It was quite a stark contrast if you've ever been to Gooseberry at different times of the year. The summertime, these waterfalls are a small trickle, and you know, in the fall it's the same thing. As soon as you get there in the spring, however, all the runoff from the mountains and whatever, the waterfalls are, you know, 2-3 times what they are in the summer and the falls. It's really amazing, the difference. You know, in the summertime, springtime, excuse me, not springtime, fall, you could walk across this whole thing. You know, in the spring and April when this was taken, there's just no way. It's so deep. Yeah, this photo I took on the North Shore, you know, to me it was just kind of striking. You know, all the grays and the browns and the granite, and here you've got this bright red orange, you know, leaf kind of sitting around. So just kind of a neat contrast. This photo once again is up on the North Shore. It's called Father Baraga's Cross. Kind of out of the way. It's I don't know how far up the shore it is. I read about this, I think, on the state park website, and I thought, oh, it'd be kind of neat just to see what it is, just kind of a cross that's out there. Wildlife is really fun too. Wildlife presents a lot of different challenges. You know, it's really about being in the right place at the right time, you know, that kind of thing, and hoping something comes along. So that's a little bit different. I have found my wildlife photography to be just kind of, if it happens to happen, then great, but you really can't go out and plan to shoot a bald eagle today, or, you know, or see a lot of deer, or, you know, or an otter, or whatever it happens to be. You just can't plan so much for that. But that is really fun. When it happens and the opportunity presents itself, it's really neat. This is the photo of the deer that I stumbled upon up at Gooseberry Falls State Park. Feet away from me, I was walking to the falls actually, and was looking down at my camera, getting my camera all set up, and I looked up and there she was staring at me, and I stared at her, and we stood there for a few seconds, and I thought about my camera. I thought, well, I better get a few photos of this, so I took a few photos and she trotted off. This photo I took with a pretty long lens, telephoto lens, so I really wasn't that close to this loon. She was on her nest. Her mate was around. He was swimming around me in the kayak. I'm sure he was just, you know, making sure I wasn't going to get too close. But yeah, it was a really neat experience to get that close. Every photo that I take, I honestly could tell you where I was when I took it, you know, what time of day it was, and almost really what year, but certainly where I was at the time, you know, what the temperature was like, you know, how I felt. And I think photography, to me, it's an intimate experience for me. Once again, I can go back and look at any photo and really, I know, you know, where I was at that time, what time of day it was, you know, and I can remember that whole day. So this photo is, that's Upper and Lower Yosemite Falls in Yosemite National Park. It's a mule deer that was kind of milling around there. It's funny, the deer there are so used to seeing people and having people around. I literally got feet. I was almost able to pet that specific deer. But it's really kind of neat. This is Yosemite Valley, where most of the attractions that people come to see. You know, Yosemite Falls, El Capitan, Half Dome, all that stuff is basically found right here. This is a sunset that I took last winter coming back from the North Shore. Driving home, it was the most brilliant sunset, as you can see. I tried to capture it as best I could. I actually pulled over. This is on Highway 2. I just pulled over and stopped, got out, and snapped a couple of photos. This is very close to Bemidji, actually. Some of my favorite photos, maybe the photo that's here with us today, that was at Lake Bemidji State Park a couple of years ago. The day after Christmas, actually, we got a very large snow, and the snow was just clinging to the trees and buildings, and it was really neat. So of course, I take the opportunity. You don't get a whole lot of days like that, and you go take a photo of it. And I always look at what do I want the focus of the photo to be, whether if we're at a waterfall or whatnot. You really need to kind of choose what you want. Whoever is going to look at that photo, you want them to obviously, this is what he's looking at, this is what he wants you to see. I think early on doing my photography, I would take photos that were just kind of muddled, and you could, is he focusing on this or that or this, and there's, it's just kind of a scene. And I think as you develop as a photographer, you really learn to pick out a focal point of, okay, this is how I want someone to see my photograph. For whatever reason, I've always liked seeing a path, kind of a path leading somewhere, and this is on a hiking trail in Itasca State Park, and it's always neat. My eye is always caught to that path that's, curving into the background. Anybody can get out there and photograph a sunset or a sunrise or sit at Gooseberry Falls and take pictures there. I think what sets photos apart and photographers apart is there's an artistic style that comes in the post-processing, the editing. Everyone's got a different take on how they like scenes to look, different kind of colors and compositions. This is probably more of a natural light that I would have seen that morning. And there's nothing wrong with that photo. I enjoyed it. It's a great photo. Once again, bringing Photoshop and editing into it, you could turn something like that into something like this. Just strikingly different. Same morning, near the same photograph, but it looks much different. I love going through my stuff and seeing where I was. Like I said, I remember every photo, where I was, when it was. So for me, it's really a passion, something creative, something that I can create. If nobody ever saw any photos that I ever took, I'd be okay with that. And once again, it's for me, it's something that I love to do and I enjoy.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.